Here are the top stories for today, the 16th of March 2022. A sigh of relief looms as the Energy Department says a rollback in fuel prices looms next week, citing positive developments in the global market. The country's economic managers bat for measures to conserve energy and cushion the impact of soaring oil prices, which include the extension of work-from-home schemes and a 4-day work week. Metro Manila remains under Alert Level 1 until the end of March. Several other areas are included in the least restrictive quarantine status. And get ready to feel the heat. This year's dry season officially starts today, according to the State Weather Bureau. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Motorists can expect a sigh of relief as a rollback in oil prices looms next week. The Energy Department says this is due to some positive developments in the global market, hinting a respite from 11 straight weeks of soaring prices. Speaking to President Rodrigo Duterte during his talk to the people, Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi says gasoline prices may decrease by 5 pesos and diesel prices by over 12 pesos. Cusi also assures the country has enough inventory of fuel products as well as coal to address power demand. The agency also encourages industry players to give discounts to consumers, monitor the sales of fuel prices to prevent unscrupulous activities, and actively pushes for the unbundling of fuel prices as well as energy conservation efforts. Oil price hikes have been taking a toll on economies worldwide, mainly driven by the low supply in the Middle East and the Russia-Ukraine conflict. As for President Rodrigo Duterte, the excise tax and value-added tax on fuel stay as he heeds the recommendation of his economic team on the matter. This despite mounting calls for its suspension. Most vulnerable sectors, however, will get some relief to cushion the impact of soaring oil prices. The details from Stephanie Sibidian.
Amid the soaring oil prices, President Rodrigo Duterte has given the green light to the recommendations of the Department of Finance to mitigate the effects of unabated oil price increases. In today's online briefing, PCOO Secretary and Acting Presidential Spokesperson Martin Andenara said the President has approved the retainment of fuel excise taxes and the provision of 200 pesos subsidy per month to the bottom 50% of Filipino households. According to the Finance Department, suspending the fuel excise taxes under chain law will reduce government revenues by 105.9 billion pesos, or 0.5% of GDP this year. Meanwhile, Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Carl Chua said they are also recommending the implementation of 4-day workweek. Chua added the shortened workdays was done during the 1990 Gulf War and the 2008 economic crisis. Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi backed the proposed work-from-home setup for employees to reduce fuel consumption. Cusi said this is one of the measures that can minimize the use of fuel amid the rising oil prices in the global market.
We also support, Mr. Mayor, yung panukala na 4-day week work at saka yung panukala rin po palawigin muna natin ang work from home para sa ganun po mabawasan ang pagbiyahe ng ating mga mamamayan.
Meanwhile, Andenara said the President has not yet approved the proposed 4-day work week and work-from-home setup for employees. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Stephanie Sevillano.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has started rolling out the first tranche of the 2.5 billion peso worth of fuel subsidies. This is amid the tightening pressures to drivers and operators brought by persistent oil price hikes. In a radio interview, LTFRB Executive Director Maria Cristina Casion said they have initially rolled out 6,500 pesos to each public utility jeepney operator with existing land bank accounts on Tuesday. Bus operators with existing cards will also receive their subsidies today. Moreover, the processing of cards for newly added beneficiaries will take up until next week, while the list of beneficiaries for tricycles and deliveries is yet set to be completed by DILG and DTI. Meanwhile, Transportation Secretary Arthur Tugade mentioned in his report to President Duterte that the subsidy intends to cushion the effect of the oil price hike for 29 days. The House Committee on Energy has approved the substitute bill that would amend the oil industry deregulation law. Marikina City Representative Stella Kimbo said the proposed substitute bill aims to reflect the price monitoring system of the Department of Energy. She says it would be based on the unbundled retail price of the petroleum products. Kimbo also proposed to grant the President the power to suspend or decrease fuel excise tax rates when Dubai crude oil based on mean of Platts Singapore or MOPS pricing reaches $80 per barrel. Meanwhile, the panel approved the motion of Bayan Muna Representative Carlos Zarate for the Committee on Energy as a whole to request President Rodrigo Duterte for a special session. The Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, in Negros Oriental has cautioned the public against hoarding and panic buying. This amid the soaring prices of basic and prime commodities due to oil price hikes. DTI Negros Oriental Provincial Director Nympha Bertuccio reminds grocery stores and other outlets to stick to the existing suggested retail prices despite the anticipated increase in the prices of basic and prime commodities. She said if ever there will be a spike in the prices of commodities, it will not immediately take effect as manufacturers have at least 3 months of stock inventory. She also warns the public that hoarding and panic buying would only create an artificial shortage of commodities despite ample inventory. The government prefers targeted subsidy over the suspension of excise tax on fuel to stop the impact of oil price hikes. Finance Undersecretary Paula Alvarez said suspending the excise tax has long-term negative impact on government revenues and the economy. During the virtual Laging Handa briefing on Tuesday, Alvarez said it will only benefit the higher bracket of society which uses more fuel products compared to lower-income households. This also means the government will have lesser funding for its social services program. Alvarez also said suspending all the taxes, including that on all fuel products, will lead to a loss of 138.8 billion pesos in 1 year, or 0.6% of the country's GDP. She said what the government proposes is to extend targeted support to the poor who needs it instead of totally suspending the excise tax. Still to come, the Health Department says all areas in the country are now low risk for COVID-19. And getting close to done, the Commission on Elections reports the progress of printing ballots for the May 9 polls. Details ahead, keep it here on the PNA Newsroom. The COVID-19 pandemic has greatly changed our lives for the worse. Lives and jobs were lost and economies reached a meltdown. Thanks to the arrival of safe and effective vaccines, we are one step closer to normalcy. It's time to do our part, get vaccinated for our safety and for our recovery.
If you are there in that community, go there and have yourself vaccinated by any of the vaccines available. They are all potent, they are all effective.
I would like to appeal to all our kababayans, please get vaccinated against COVID-19 and be the government partner in preventing further spread of the disease. I encourage you to get vaccinated as soon as possible time. These vaccines are safe and they are the key to reopening our society. The need for international solidarity and cooperation cannot be made clearer than this pandemic, because everyone is safe. No one is safe globally until everybody is safe.
Vaccines work. All areas in the country, including those under Alert Level 2, are now classified as low risk for COVID-19. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeres says there is no new uptick in COVID-19 cases, and so far the Delta Cron variant is not yet detected in the country. She said the government is currently intensifying the COVID-19 inoculation drive in Alert Level 2 areas so these can de-escalate to Alert Level 1. So far, about 6.5 million Filipinos are now fully vaccinated, and 1.9 million are among the boosted senior citizens in the country.
Pilit pong aabutin ng Department of Health ang bawat sulok ng Pilipinas na may mababang low vaccination rates para tuloy-tuloy po ang marcha natin to vaccinate to our new normal.
Alert Level 1 is still in place in Metro Manila and 47 other areas in the country starting today until the end of the month. In Luzon, Alert Level 1 remains in Abra, Apayao, Baguio City, Kalinga, Dagupan City, Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, La Union, Pangasinan, Batanes, Cagayan, City of Santiago, Isabela, Quirino, Angeles City, Aurora, Bataan, Bulacan, Olongapo City, Pampanga, Tarlac, Cavite, Laguna, Marinduque, Puerto Princesa City, Romblon, Naga City, and Catanduanes. In Visayas, Alert Level 1 will still be imposed in Aklan, Bacolod City, Capiz, Guimaras, Iloilo City, Siquijor, and Biliran. And in Mindanao, Alert Level 1 will also remain in Zamboanga City, Cagayan de Oro City, Camiguin, and Davao City. Meanwhile, new areas are added to the roster of Alert Level 1. These are the provinces of Nueva Ecija, Zambales, and Batangas, as well as the cities of Lucena, Cebu, Ormoc, Tacloban, and Butuan. The Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases says all other areas not included in the list will remain under Alert Level 2. Metro Manila mayors earlier said they are ready and willing for the possible shift to Alert Level 0.
Nag-usap-usap po ang mga mayors sa council at nagbigay po ng assessment kung ano ang mga nais o kung ang kanilang sentimiento kung sakaling magkaroon ng alert level. At karamihan po ay nagsasabi na nakahanda na po sila sapagkat patuloy naman ang pagbaba ng numero ng mga kaso nitong mga huling linggo na nakaraan. Kaya po sabi nila, nakahanda sila.
President Rodrigo Duterte has rejected calls to suspend the operations of e-sabong or online cockfighting. In his pre-recorded talk to the people aired Wednesday morning, Duterte said the government will suffer big revenue losses if e-sabong operations are stopped. Despite his previous stance against gambling, Duterte said he allowed its operation since the government is benefiting from it. The Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, or PAGCOR, says the government collected around 3.69 billion pesos from e-sabong operations from April to December 2021. From January 1 to March 15, 2022, they collected around 1.37 billion pesos. Lawmakers called for the suspension of the cockfighting industry following a series of alleged abductions and disappearances of aficionados over the past few months. Duterte said he would let the law enforcement agencies act on the said issue. The Health Department in the Visayas steps up to address the low COVID-19 vaccine rates in the area. In Negros Occidental, a house-to-house COVID-19 vaccination campaign continues, especially among those who are in the rural areas. The provincial government says they specifically cater to the senior citizens who are a bit hesitant in taking the jabs. So far, only 47.58% of the 269,602 target population in the A2 category have availed of the life-saving jabs. And to encourage more vaccinees, the local government offers a year-round medical assistance for the vaccinated head of the family and their spouse. Meanwhile, more seniors are also encouraged to take the COVID-19 jabs in Western Visayas. This as the Department of Health noted a low turnout of vaccinees there. DOH Senior Health Program Officer John Richard Lapascua said this is due to the challenge in the mobility of the senior citizens, refusal to get vaccinated, or letting the other members of the family get vaccinated first before them. Lapascua said that the local government units are addressing this concern by conducting house-to-house inoculation drive or giving incentives to those who will go to the vaccination sites. It's 54 days to go before the national elections. The Commission on Elections says ballot printing is now close to 74%. Commissioner Marlon Casquejo, head of the COMELEC's printing committee, said over 49 million, or close to 74% of more than 67 million official ballots have already been printed at the National Printing Office in Quezon City. For local absentee voting, Casquejo said about 60,000 manual ballots have already been completed, as well as the 79,800 manual ballots for the Philippine Embassy in Rabat in Morocco. In the country, Casquejo said the poll body has already printed over 4.7 million ballots out of the needed 7.2 million ballots for Central Luzon. Meanwhile, a total of 86,280 ballots for the 63 barangays in North Cotabato, which are part of the BARMM, have also been printed. COMELEC has started the printing of the official ballots in January. The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, is urged to give its side on the petition filed by Solicitor General Jose Calida at the Supreme Court. This pertains to Calida's questioning of the Memorandum of Agreement between COMELEC and Rappler as fast checkers leading to the May 9 national and local elections. Calida said the Memorandum of Agreement is void for being violative of the Constitution, as Rappler is seen as being a foreign, non-registered entity. Calida argued that Rappler may control any election narrative that suits the agenda of the firm's foreign owners, which will not be for the benefit of the Filipino people. For its part, COMELEC Acting Chair Socorro Ingting said the poll body has already deferred its partnership with Rappler. Supreme Court spokesperson Brian Hosaka urges the COMELEC to file its comments via personal service to the court. A group of 54 Filipino seafarers are the latest to return home to escape the armed conflict in Ukraine. This group is also the biggest one to come home so far since the start of evacuation and repatriation from the war-torn country. The Department of Foreign Affairs, the Philippine Embassy in Budapest, headed by Ambassador Frank Simafranca, and Philippine Honorary Consul Victor Gaina of Chisinau, Moldova, have been monitoring 23 ships carrying Filipinos in affected areas of Ukraine. The latest arrival brings the total number of seafarers repatriated from Ukraine since February 27 to 247 seafarers. More stories from the newsroom. Another key figure of the communist movement yields to authorities. And some Ilocanos are sharing their ways to cope with soaring oil prices. Back after a quick break, stay with the PNA Newsroom. A communist insurgent who was once the face of indigenous peoples abused by the government bared the links between tribal groups and their true abusers, the New People's Army. Jong Monzon, former Secretary General of the Pasakaday Salugpongan Kalimudan, confirmed suspicious that CPP-NPA was using eyepiece in a public campaign to demonize the military. Monzon previously spoke on behalf of eyepiece who were evacuees or bakwit in UCCP Haran in Davao City. He said the eyepiece are made to cry as victims of human rights violations to gather sympathy for the CPP-NPA's cause. He revealed they would show the eyepiece plight to the CPP-NPA's foreign sponsors so that they could ask for more funding. In April 2021, the Davao City Regional Trial Court issued an arrest warrant against 6 administrators of the UCCP Haran for child abuse. Monzon surrendered to authorities in Boston Town, Davao Oriental on March 8, along with 2 other rebels. Several political bets from Iligan City and Lanao del Norte joined local officials as they vowed to make the coming elections peaceful and clean. More on this from Arafia Kiram.
Some 70 political aspirants in Iligan City and Lanao del Norte joined a unity walk and signed on a peace covenant for clean, peaceful, orderly, and credible midterm elections in May. Administration and opposition candidates attended the event together with the officials from Commission on Elections or COMELEC, Philippine National Police, Philippine Army, Department of Education, Department of Interior and Local Government, Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting, and others.
My utmost respect and thanks to the political candidates of different parties who are exerting their efforts to attend this momentous event and bestow their individual support by signing the peace covenant towards the peaceful elections.
Local candidates and officials also joined the interfaith prayer led by several religious leaders. COMELEC Region 10's election director, Attorney Francisco Pobe, also encouraged the voters in Northern Mindanao to exercise their right to suffrage.
Sa mga constituents and voters nato sa Northern Mindanao, this coming May 9, 2022 elections is a crucial elections for us because we will be changing guards of our leaders the next 6 years that will come. Amo wing gihangyo nga kung mahimo, you exercise your sacred rights to vote because your vote counts a lot.
Doves were also released afterward to symbolize secure and fair elections. For the PNA Newsroom, Arafia Kiram of PIA Iligan City and Lanao del Norte.
In Ilocos Norte, residents are sharing how they save money and cope with the rising cost of fuel. Several residents say they started riding bikes to work as fuel prices went up to as high as 91 pesos per liter. Julius Managad Castillo of the Municipal Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office said biking not only helps save on fuel and money, but it also paves the way to a healthy lifestyle. Other motorists shifted from buying gasoline from independent stations who sell cheaper fuel compared to major branded companies. They also practice carpooling to cut on fuel costs. Meanwhile, Eileen Rambaud of Barangay Puritak, Pinidi Town shared that her family started planting early maturing crops and raising native chickens. She said growing their own food cuts down their food budget and other expenses as well. Here is the latest in our community billboard. March 24 is going to be a holiday in Tabaco City, Albay, as the city celebrates its Charter Day and 21st cityhood founding anniversary. Mayor Crisel Lagman Luistro confirmed on social media that Malacanang issued Proclamation 1319 declaring March 24 as a special non-working day in the city. Tabaco is one of the 8 towns and cities located around Mayon Volcano. It is home to the Spanish-era Church of San Juan Bautista, a National Historic Landmark. Tabaco City also celebrates the Tabak Festival in honor of its cutlery industry on the 3rd week of March alongside its founding anniversary. Time to take out your swimwear and sunblock. The dry season in the country officially starts today. Weather Bureau Pag-asa said the dry season started as the cold northeast monsoon or amihan in most parts of the country became weaker. Pag-asa said aside from warmer weather conditions, the dry season means less rainfall as it will be influenced by easterly winds and localized thunderstorms. The dry season will also be ideal for beach and outdoor activities, so everyone is advised to protect themselves from excessive heat. Stay hydrated and use water wisely and continue following protocols against COVID-19. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. A sigh of relief looms as the Energy Department says a rollback in fuel prices looms next week, citing positive developments in the global market. The country's economic managers bat for measures to conserve energy and cushion the impact of soaring oil prices, which include the extension of work-from-home schemes and a 4-day work week. Metro Manila remains under Alert Level 1 until the end of March. Several other areas are included in the least restrictive quarantine status. And get ready to feel the heat. This year's dry season officially starts today according to the State Weather Bureau. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell you stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day, everyone.